everyone, welcome to Semi Homesteading with Abby. Today I have something that I have waited to get for weeks, if not months now. I held off buying it because it was a little pricey. We were just trying to get settled in the new house, but today it has come in and I'm so excited for all the things that I will be able to make, store, and all of that. So without further ado, we have a food dehydrator. So I have been wanting one of these, like I said, for a long time because you can do so many things with a dehydrator. This is a Kasori brand dehydrator, so if you open it up like this, it has like 6 trays. It came with a couple accessories. So one is this little mat and it has a little lip on it. So you can make like fruit purees and pour it onto here, dehydrate it, and it makes fruit jerky or like dried fruit strips, which is genius. I didn't even think of that at first. Then they have this like mesh plate accessory, which basically if you dice things really small and you want to dehydrate them, you can stick it in here so things don't fall through the cracks of the regular grate. I ordered like another 6-pack of these because most of what I want to do is dehydrate diced vegetables that are going to be smaller than the grate. So I'm going to need a lot of those mesh mats. So that is my food dehydrator, and let me just explain really quick what I want to do. So the purpose of this is really twofold. One of them is convenience when cooking. Let's say we're making a chili. We have a ton of peppers in our chili. We use like 6 green bell peppers. So the prep time is like considerable. So the first thing I want to do is kind of build up a supply of dehydrated like green bell peppers, red bell peppers, onions, those types of things, so that when we're making a chili or a stew, we can just go down, get like Ziploc bags of however many green bell peppers you need, rehydrate them, and then dump them in the meal. So that should cut down on prep time every day by a lot. Anything to make dinner making more convenient, I am on board for. The second is that everyone just keeps conveniently, casually talking about food shortages, and I would like to be a little bit prepared. So this is gonna help dehydrate things like fruits, vegetables, and meat. So we can make jerky in here, we can make dried vegetables like I mentioned, and then also dried fruit. And the advantage of this, at least from what I've read, is that if you can fruits and vegetables, the shelf life is about a year. If you dehydrate them, the shelf life is about 5 to 10 years. Now, the booklet says it's about a year, but I'm pretty sure that's just because of like a liability thing, because everything I've seen online says, yeah, it's 5 to 10 or even more than 10 years that you can rehydrate vegetables and they will be edible and good. So today we're doing a little experiment with the dehydrator. I am basically going to dehydrate 1 single red bell pepper, and then tomorrow I'm going to rehydrate it and put it into a recipe. I'm thinking I'm gonna be making the egg white, red bell pepper, ham, egg muffins or egg bites. Seems like a pretty simple recipe that I can just throw together and just kind of test out if the texture and the flavor of the red bell peppers are good enough that I want to do this all the time. So that's what we're doing today. I read that you have to blanch the vegetables for 1 minute before you dehydrate them to help like preserve the texture and the flavor. I did not know what blanching was, so I had to look that up, and turns out you can either steam them or boil them, I think. So basically I'm gonna bring a pot of water to a boil, stick in the red bell pepper for 1 minute, and then you immediately dunk it into an ice bath. From there, we can just cut up the pepper, dice it, lay it on the mat, and stick it in the dehydrator for, I think it's 6 to 8 hours, but I will check the manual. So I'm very excited to take you all along on this little adventure that I'm going on, and hopefully if this works, next week I'm going to be dehydrating like a ton of vegetables and try to get my stockpile going. So we'll see how all that goes, and let's get to blanching. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is starting to boil the water, but I also need to prepare an ice bath for this. So I'm just gonna use a big mixing bowl, fill it with very cold water and a bunch of ice, and that way once I boil the pepper for a minute, I can just dunk it in the ice bath. All right, I got my ice bath going. I might need to put more ice in it later if it melts too fast or something, because the water takes a little bit to boil. But in the meantime, I'm going to seed and devein my red bell pepper. Okay, I'm gonna leave it as like a little circle to blanch it because I think it'll just be easier to dip in and pull out with the tongs. I haven't done a lot of research as to how people usually do this, but I think this is gonna be my strategy moving forward. So I'm gonna take the tongs, dip it in, and then be able to go easily fish it out with tongs with this shape. And then once it's blanched, I will cut it up and dice it and put it in the dehydrator. Okay, the water's boiling, so we are ready to blanch. Let's see how this goes. Alexa, set a timer for 1 minute. It seems to not be floating too much. I think it's because of my keeping it as a ring. So I think that's working pretty well. It's still submerged and it's looking good. Alexa, how much time is left on the timer? Okay, now we dunk it right in the ice bath. I'm just keeping it submerged for a little bit in the ice. Now we can go cut this up and put it in the dehydrator. Very interesting, the blanching seemed to change the color a little bit, and now some parts of it look a lot more orange. So, I guess that's something to expect that I did not know. Okay, so I have the whole thing diced up and ready to go. I'm just gonna put it on this mesh board and stick it in the dehydrator. Okay, I need to make sure that they're all like evenly spread. The guide said that the vegetables are supposed to be at 125. Temperature to 125. I'm gonna go to 6 hours and just see where it's at the end of 6 hours. Since we only have one pepper, that might be fine. So let's do it. Hey everyone, okay, so all right, it's a couple days later. My voice, I just woke up, so I don't know what's happening with it. This is how much an entire red bell pepper covers in a mason jar. I took maybe like 5 pieces out to just see them. So this is pretty much a full red bell pepper. Isn't that insane how much liquid that means that there is in a red bell pepper? Like, that's ridiculous. So the plan for this morning is that I'm gonna make egg bites and just throw these in. So here's what I read about dehydrating. Basically, if you try to dehydrate in cold water, it'll take a really long time. But if you want to dehydrate quickly, you can just put it in hot or boiling water. It'll take like 10 or 15 minutes. Or you can just throw them dehydrated into a more liquidy recipe. And as it cooks, it should rehydrate just fine. So I'm gonna make egg bites, which I'm pretty sure qualifies as liquidy, and just throw these in dehydrated, bake them at 350 for like 15 minutes. And we're gonna take a bite into it and see if all of the peppers got rehydrated. If this works, it is a game changer for my cooking. So I'm very excited. Let's make some egg bites. Okay, so this is what they're looking like. I only made 4 because I just wanted 4 eggs. So I'm gonna pop these in the oven at 350 for a little bit. And I'm very much hoping that when we come back and I bite into these, the red bell peppers are just fluffy, nice, and rehydrated. Okay, here's how they look cooked. So I'm gonna wait just a few minutes to let them cool, and then we can bite into them. I don't know if they actually rehydrated in that short amount of time. I might have to try them in some other recipe, but we'll see. All right, time to try one. Looks like they cooled down a little bit, so I'm just gonna take one, put it on a plate and cut it open, see what we get. All right, here it is. Let's find one of the peppers. Okay, this is what it looks like. They actually look pretty rehydrated, to be honest. So let's taste. No, it's not bad, but it's not fully rehydrated. It's like halfway there probably. So I think before this I would heat up some water and rehydrate them in some hot water first. Overall, I'll eat them. They're not like totally dehydrated, but definitely lesson learned. This is not liquidy enough to actually rehydrate them. I should have tried like a chili or something first instead of egg bites, but the taste in them is the same. It tastes definitely like a red bell pepper, and I like the egg bite, but I definitely just need to make sure my recipe is a little more liquidy next time. Somewhat of a fail. I'm gonna call this like a half pass, half fail. I think it was okay, but now I know what I need to do for next time, so I will implement that in my next recipe. Okay, put you on a better stand so I don't have to crouch, but that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a little bit about dehydrating food. I know I did. You know, the other thing about my videos that I just want to mention really quick is that not all of them are going to be a how-to successful attempt at doing something. I'm learning as we go, so I'm sure there will be plenty of failures that you guys can come along the ride for. If you have any tips for any of this kind of stuff, let me know. I would love to hear about them. Comment them down below. I'm definitely gonna do another attempt at a dehydrating video, so I will implement all of your comments from now until then. So drop any comments for tips below. Like and subscribe to see me learn more about homesteading. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next video. Bye everyone.